Have you ever heard someone say, if you were born in another country, you'd believe in another God? The claim goes something like this. People don't believe Christianity because it's true, they believe it because they were born into a particular culture. If you're born in India, you're Hindu. If you're born in the Middle East, you're Muslim. If you're born in the West, you're Christian. So the conclusion is simple according to them. Religion is just cultural conditioning. But here's the question we need to ask. Does cultural influence actually disprove Christian belief? Let's take a closer look. Hello and welcome to our video series on the existence of God, where we explore questions and topics related to God's existence and also analyze arguments for and against the existence of God. Does cultural influence disprove belief in God? Particularly, we're talking about the Christian belief. Let's begin by acknowledging something obvious. Culture does influence belief. No Christian needs to deny that. Where you grow up shapes your language, your values, and your worldview. But here's the mistake the argument makes. It confuses the origin of a belief with its truth value. Where a belief comes from does not determine whether it is true or false. This is a classic example of the genetic fallacy, judging a claim based on its source rather than its merits. If you carefully think about it, all human knowledge is transmitted culturally. Think about it. If you were born in ancient Greece, you would likely believe that the earth is flat and the sun moves around it. Does that in any way invalidate your belief that the earth is round or that the earth revolves around the sun? Of course not. Upon looking at the evidence for a position, you can see whether it is true regardless of the means by which one came to believe it. So the bottom line is this, brothers and sisters. The origin of a belief does not decide its truth value. What matters is whether the belief corresponds to reality. So the real question isn't why do you believe Christianity is true? It is rather, is Christianity true? Now, here's something important. Christianity does not present itself as a local religion. From beginning to end, the Bible claims that God is the creator of all people. The promise to Abraham was that all nations would be blessed. Genesis 12:3, Genesis 18:18, and Genesis 22:18. Jesus commanded his followers to go to every nation. Matthew 28:19 and 20. Likewise, Paul says God created all humanity so that people everywhere might seek him. Acts 17:26 and 27. Christianity is not tied to one ethnicity, one culture, or one continent, and history backs this up. Christianity didn't stay in the Middle East. It spreads across Africa, Europe, Asia, and eventually the entire world. Today, Christianity is growing fastest in the global South, not the West. If Christianity were merely a Western cultural invention, this global cross-cultural expansion would be very hard to explain. Now, here's another major problem for the cultural conditioning argument. Conversion still exists. People routinely reject the beliefs they were raised with. Muslims become Christians, atheists become Christians, Hindus become Christians. Likewise, Christians leave Christianity to follow another religion. If people only believed what they were taught, conversion wouldn't happen, especially when it involves social pressure, persecution, or personal loss. The Apostle Paul is a perfect example here. He wasn't raised Christian. He was raised to oppose Christianity, yet he became one of its greatest defenders after what he claimed was an encounter with the risen Jesus. Now, that's not cultural conditioning, that's worldview transformation. But now, here's the part that often gets overlooked. If cultural conditioning invalidates Christian belief, then it also invalidates atheism and skepticism. Why? Because those views are also shaped by culture. A person raised in a secular environment is far more likely to be skeptical of religion. So if we dismiss beliefs because they were culturally influenced, we must dismiss all beliefs, including the belief that religion is false. But no one actually lives that way. So the argument collapses under its own weight. Now, there is one other thing I would like to say before we close. Christianity offers a deeper explanation. Across cultures and history, humans seek meaning. They seek purpose, morality, and transcendence. This longing exists everywhere, not because cultures invented it, but because humans are wired for something beyond themselves. The Bible says God has placed eternity in the human heart. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Culture shapes how people express that longing, but it doesn't create the longing itself. From a Christian perspective, religion isn't something humans invented. It is humanity's responding imperfectly to a real God who has made himself known. So in conclusion, do we only believe what we are taught? Culture definitely influences belief, but it doesn't determine truth. People cross cultural boundaries. Worldviews can be examined and changed. And Christianity continues to appeal to people across every culture on earth. So the cultural conditioning argument doesn't disprove Christianity. It avoids the real question. Not where you were born, but is Christianity true? That's the question worth asking. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content such as this. See you in the next episode, and God bless you.